See, what happened is nobody told the people in the 60s, if you go on this, if you awake that self, it will pursue you. It will never let you go. It will pursue you like a bad debt. It will never, ever let you go. So what happened in the 70s is that nobody said to anybody and warned anybody that this was not a joke. That in fact, this was the beginning of your transformation. And it was the feminine rising. And so many people began with so much courage. And it was such a transformational tsunami. Stay with me on the penthouse, because you're going to need to ride it up here with the next thing I'm going to tell you. A culture, a society, psychically, archetypally, can feel the ground crack beneath its feet. That's what we are feeling now. That's what we have been feeling for some time. We've been feeling it. We've been feeling it like an atmosphere pregnant with change. We've been feeling it. This is what we've been feeling for the last decades. Okay? And that sensation of we don't know from what direction it's coming. We don't know how it's coming, but we know it's coming. One of the sensations a culture feels is that it can feel the rise and the shift of power within its people. And it can feel the rise of selfness somehow. The feminine rising was a dramatic shift in the Western culture. The rise of the feminine. It was not appreciated by whether the feminine rose as feminists, which was more of a first, second, and third floor. The feminists, the bra burners, our sister warriors who actually took to the streets. Or whether the feminist, mind you, these are not values like what floor is better. Are you with me when I have to say that? Because our sister warriors, it's just which level do you feel something at? But not all forces wanted the feminine to shift or the feminine to come forward. Because when the feminine came out, after she was repressed at the beginning of the Enlightenment a little bit more, from my point of view, when the mysticism, when the intuitive shut down a little bit, the end of the 1500s, 60s, when they began to close down that type of mysticism that Teresa of Avila knew, or Francis, that kind of different type of openness and the more scientific reasoning happened. You could say that there was a more feminine openness, even though it was just a different type of before the age of reason. The feminine awoke in our 60s, 1960s, with a kind of an anger in her. Women were angry when they were burning their bras. They were angry when they were fighting for their rights. They were angry as they realized, you want to know something in this country of freedom? We're not free. This country doles out freedom in tiny drops, this land of the free. To not give civil rights to African Americans to the late 1960s. And the land of the free and home of the brave. Someday we're going to have to think this through. But having said that, when the feminine rose, when feminine interior spiritual experiences happened, people began to crack. And instead of going through it from involution, they began to take drugs. Because it's as if the masculine said, you know what? I think if the culture began to lead more people and lead the feminine through this, a greater transformation would happen. And I think in some part, the drug culture was a balance to the culture of awakening. That there was a masculine response to the feminine in pain. And that the emerging feminine that said, I'm very angry and I want to process this to empower myself and get out of my way. I want to do this. And the masculine said, take this. Sit down, take this, you'll feel better. The pharmaceutical. Now, that's one thing. It was the reasonable thing to do. It was the reasonable thing to do. Now, not everybody did that, but it was part of what happened, of course. Now, but the feminine did get drugged. Make no mistake. Part of the feminine did get drugged. And we became a great culture, addicted to tranquilizers, antidepressants, and that's the feminine in the culture. And the part of us that didn't get addicted to that, let's just pursue this a little bit more. In the 70s, we moved to the 80s. Let's follow the stages. From involution, when you should say, if I said to you, well, what do you want? You would involute and you would say, well, now I'll tell you what I want. After the 70s, you would say to me, this is what I want. I want to go to yoga and I want to do this, I want to do that. You would tell me who the new you was and what you would need to change. And there's a real good chance that me, who's not going along for the ride, would tell you this. What are you going to do suddenly with this yoga stuff? What is that stuff? And what is this new diet you've got? I would not support you. I would not support you because I would find your changes threatening. In order for you to maintain those changes, you would have to go through a stage of narcissism. You would have to be able to get very tough about who the new you is. And that would be the 80s. The 1980s, we became a very narcissistic culture. It was all about us. People, it was all about us. Look at the therapy. Look at the way people were taught. You need your space. It's all about you. You need to express yourself. You need to state what's true about you, and they call that health. That will make you healthy. So long as you can speak up and tell people what's on your mind, you will be healthy. That's what health is. Your boundaries, your needs, you. You became a youism. It's all about you. And all of a sudden, phrases, I'm so burned out. Why? Because I just think about everybody else. No, you don't. You only think about yourself. Listen to me. Trust me. I listen to you. It's all about you. You never think about anybody else. What burns you out is that they're not thinking about you. From narcissism, a person, the culture, the country, it was our most narcissistic decade. It was the decade of the Silicon Valley computers. It was the decade of unbelievable wealth in the stock market. It was the decade when the 29-year-old millionaires were born. It was the decade of Dell and Microsoft and Bill Gates and all of this. It was the decade when time and space morphed. And the idea of multitasking and doing things 100 million times faster than they should be done was born. Time and space morphed in that decade. It morphed. Computer access, the number in our culture of people who went from not having a computer to computer simply morphed. Absolutely morphed. If we did a study, and I'd love to do a study, on how many people in the 80s went from no tech to high tech, translated at the symbolic level, how many people changed their relationship to time and space? That would be my question, because what that did was change the relationship of the culture to the speed of time. They went from ordinary to light speed. Now, during that decade of narcissism, America, remember we're talking about where are we now? How did we get here? You can't answer that with one question, with one simple thing. You have to take the whole. You have to take a whole huge perspective, because no one event is created from a simple thing. This is the result of many, many, many choices. Not one thing. Many choices led us here, and it will take many choices to get us out. In the 80s, we became self-focused as a nation and as individuals. It became all about us. And unfortunately, well, let me say it this way. After narcissism, after you toughen up and you go through a stage of people saying you shouldn't change, you can't change, you won't change, and you do, the next stage is you evolve out of it, and you go in from narcissism, you go to evolution. You evolve out of it. You get over yourself. That should have been the 90s. Notice my turn of phrase. It should have been. You get over yourself. You cease to be the focus of yourself. And from the 90s, the next decade, after evolution comes revelation. You go inside and you start taking your instructions from a much deeper place. Instead of serving yourself, you begin to serve the whole. You're kind of a refined instrument by then. Now, when a person follows this progression, they come out cooked pretty well. If our nation had followed this progression, we would have been cooked pretty well. We would have been cooked pretty well. But we got stuck in the decade of narcissism. We did whatever we wanted to do, and we kept doing whatever we wanted to do. Whatever we wanted to do, from the point of view that the money would never run out. Look at the consciousness of the 80s. We never got out of it. We never got out of it. We spent as though it was still the 80s. We got locked into the 80s. We got lock-in syndrome. It never ended. We never got out. And we morphed our values. We just never got out. And the politics kept voting us back to the 80s. We just kept going back there. No matter what, we kept going back there. It's as if we absolutely couldn't get out of La La Land because we didn't want to face that, in fact, we were under new orders to evolve into holism, and we simply didn't want to go. We simply didn't want to go. So it's the kind of thing that if you don't jump, I will push you. I will push you. So either you jump willingly or I will push you. So it is the end of the age of enlightenment and reason. We've come to a point now where all the challenges facing us are greater than we can reason with. We can't reason our way through. We can't buy our way through. We can't unreason our way through. It's greater than that. We now have to formulate strategies that transcend ordinary reason. We have to become globally cooperative, and we never have been. Not really. We've been artificially cooperative. We've been bullies. We've had to be cooperative, but only if we get our way. That's not cooperation. And perhaps that's why America had to be knocked off its high horse, because we refused really to be cooperative. And I said to you, free radicals create events. The Bush administration perhaps represented the worst of us, and in that it cleansed us. It took out the worst, and in that it served the whole. It served the whole beautifully. Do you know, they were like a big bad vacuum cleaner. And in that, as from a symbolic point of view, we needed a cleansing of the worst of our traits. Because that administration is not accountable for what's happened. It simply was the tipping point. It was simply the tipping point of a way all of us were in this culture. A culture of entitlement, a culture of the 80s, of I could just do what I want, because of the myth that this way of life would never come to an end. What are you talking about? What were you working on being conscious for, when in fact you were working on staying unconscious? You were working on maintaining myths that had no truth to them whatsoever, while trying all the time to say you were working on clarity. Consciousness is truth. Consciousness is clarity. It is not maintaining myths about needing to stay in a way of life that cannot be, or not facing truths that are trying to work their way through your life in order to protect you or help you to see clearly. People who would say, I don't want to watch the TV, I don't want to see any bad news. What are you talking? Well, fine, look at now. It's come to your door. And it wouldn't have been bad news if you had looked it in the eye every evening and said, let me see clearly. Not let me avoid, let me see clearly, because I am part of the creation of this. Think, see clearly. Think, see, act clearly. Not like a frightened person. This is about truth. This is about now finding a better and a clearer template of how to maneuver through this. And that's the good part about all of this. There's a certain comfort that all people are finding curiously, and that we're all in this together. We are all in this extraordinary change together. This is not something that is just touching short people or tall people. Why? Because this is holism. This is taking all of us with it. What is in one is in the whole. This is about all of us truly becoming a part of the whole. All of us. This is about all of us building this new opportunity, a new country, a new global village. This is a new community. There are so many things that are so beautifully positive about the potential of where we're going. Not where we're going, of where we are. One is what we lost touch with was community. What we lost touch with was time. We ceased to value time. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for you. I don't have time. You know what? Find time now. Find time. Find the time you claimed you don't have. Go through your values. Go through your values. Rethink what you thought was so important. Find time. Gather with people and start a little group to share. This is what I loved about one of the suggestions of Teresa, soul companions. One of the great graces that we can give each other is the grace of illumination. To light another's path when they cannot see it. You know, it's like what we're experiencing is that the paths familiar to us in the forest are gone, so we must find another way through the forest. Because the forest is still there. The forest is still there. So what we need to do is rely on other people who know areas of the forest that we have yet to find. And when we get together with people, what if you gathered once every other week and you said, and they share, just to share and say, how was your week? How was your week? Not to complain about the past, because that's over with. Who you were and what you did, and these are the rules. What you used to do, what you used to have, is no longer of consequence. You have to play by those rules. What you used to have, what your title was, what you used to do, no longer of consequence. You cannot go back there. You must all agree to light a candle and say farewell to that. And together you start anew. And what you are looking for is to find and birth a new you, a completely new you. And you have to, what you look toward your soul companions for is to illumination, the new light, not enlightenment, but to illuminate, to fill with light. Let me use my light to see all I can for you. Let me see you in a new light. Let me envision for you what maybe you cannot envision for yourself, and bring that vision forth. Because this is what we must do for each other, is envision what we have yet to see, and that is what the penthouse is. To see what we cannot yet see for each other, because that's where we're going. We need to think in ways we haven't thought about yet. And in the old ways, we wouldn't go there unless we could see how much we would earn. You are not going to think that way anymore. Because we must create that now. We must say, this has never earned a profit before, but I'm going to make that happen. I am going to make that happen. We need to rely on each other, even if you look at another person and you say, I need to rely on you to pray for me. Because this is going to be hard. And I need to know somebody is. So you get together for that and you say, I need you to hold me in prayer because I'm really scared. And what you need to do is fall in love with the power of prayer and grace. This is serious, big time. And no longer is that a mental, cute little exercise. You're going to fall into the depths of your soul now. I saw just this morning on the news, a little thing about how many people now, of course, are flocking back to church. Well, duh. You know, no surprise there. But I think what we are doing is that this New Age nonsense, I think in so many ways the New Age was a rehearsal for the real thing. And you know, oh my God, Carol. You know, my grandmother would never have read a book on menopause. She would have just gone through it, bit the bullet and went through it, and that's what she did. And here's you know, and my mother would never, in her wildest dreams, taken a class in Lamaze. She just had a baby. Here's my point. We've gotten soft and spoiled. And we need to rethink vanity. Big, huge. And we need to rethink our fear of aging and replace that with understanding the role of elders. Because we need to become the elders with dignity. Instead of looking at elders as elderly and fearing that stage in our life as if we have no role. Thinking that we belong in some retirement boxes with a golf club in our hand. As if we should be ashamed of wrinkles on our face. How old are you? You say it with pride. I'm 56. I worked hard to be healthy at 56. I worked hard to be a healthy 56, an attractive, healthy 56, and I am. And if you think I'm going to lie about that, you're crazy. And if you think I'm ashamed of it, you're even more crazy. The whole idea that we do not have a wise elder culture to which we can turn to say, I need to think this through. Could you consider yourself a wise elder? Or do you think, oh my God, I'm aging. Oh my God, there's no role for me. We need to rethink vanity, and if this crisis helps us do that, so much the better. So much the better. I don't mind at all that our generation of kids get a smack up the side of the head in terms of entitlement. I've never seen lazier kids in my life. They don't even know how to mow a lawn. I don't mind it at all. I don't mind it at all. So there's a lot of good that's going to come out of this. A whole lot of good. A whole lot of good. And we will find that we somehow have a more tender spot for each other. That somehow or other we are kinder to each other because somewhere we now know each of us is truly going through the same thing we're all going through. We don't have to wonder about that anymore. We know it. It's not unlike during wars where everybody knows. Everybody has coupons for butter. Nobody has a cow in their backyard in Oak Park. So there's something about that. But where we're going is from the end of the age of enlightenment. We are in a mystical renaissance. That's real. We are in a new beginning of light. That's real. We are in a new beginning of grace. That's real. You're not kidding yourself that there are floods of grace and goodness that are working their way through. That's real. And you're going to see extraordinary miracles happen. You are seeing them, but you keep your eyes, like Teresa would say, look for God in the details. Look for miracles. Look for those things happening around you. Keep your eyes in the present. Truly keep your eyes in your present life. And if you fall into times of despair or times of panic, I want you to fall into prayer instead. With God, all things are possible. Let nothing disturb the silence of this moment. With God, all things are possible. I know I'm panicked. I know I am, and I am releasing that panic. I can't see clearly, and I know the answer is in this room. The answer's in my soul. The answer's in my heart. And if I can't see it, I release the answer to work for me anyway. Remember that prayer. Even if I can't see it, I release, God, the answer to work for me anyway. So let us remember, it's not that we didn't expect this time to happen. It's just that we didn't expect that we would be so ill-prepared. But all things happen for a reason. And this, too, will be a great adventure. It's a privilege to be alive now. I would that I could be part of the historians that will write about this time. Okay, let's take a pause.